This is the Seahawkers podcast, live and uncatfished, as we recap the Seahawks' final game of the 2022 NFL season, losing to the dirty 49ers in the playoffs, 41-23. We had some hope at halftime. It felt pretty good at halftime, actually, but then ultimately our Seahawks lose. I'm joined by my good buddy Adam Emmert. Adam, how you doing?
What are you supposed to say, right? Like, I'm supposed to be happy because it's been a great season. What a great season. And tough way for it to end, no doubt about it. But there's only one team that's not going to finish with enough.
Interrupt you, but it was a really rough way for it to end for me because I feel like this game hinged on Austin Blythe. And here we are.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. The game hinged on the fact that our defense couldn't stop anything today, and they had, I think, 1 3 and out. Yeah. And then the Niners pretty much scored on every other drive. Like, sure, the second half fumble by Geno, that was kind of the changing of the tide and all of that, and the one thing you can't do in that situation. But it's hard to blame the offense and their game plan when they were going up against that defense, whereas our defense was just atrocious. They had Purdy dead to rights a zillion times, right, and they had a lot of chances to really get this game out of hand early with Purdy not playing well and having at least 5 balls that were easily interceptable that they just whiffed on. But still had the 1-point lead at half and then just completely unraveled.
Yeah. Oh, it was, like I said, it was fun having the 1-point lead going into halftime. It made us all think, and it made, I think, Niners fans just a little bit worried. But then, the weather turned beautiful in the second half. And I think, that was one of our big things going into this game, thinking that if the weather stayed pooey, that it might help us out a little bit. And we did see a lot of those, whether it was the ball just being slippery or whether Purdy impacted by the rain. He had a hard time. Ryan 911 coming in with a $9.99 super chat. Fun year. Y'all picked an amazing season to go all in. Hope you keep the live shows coming this off season.
Hey, if you keep being the live producer there, Ryan, I think that's an easy promise to fulfill. The rain played zero factor in this game. Zero. It had nothing to do with Purdy in the first half. It was barely raining in the first half. It was a light drizzle. Like, whoop-de-doo. That was no big deal. And it was a bummer. I was told it was supposed to be a deluge, like the entire game. Didn't see any of it. And honestly, the Seahawks, they hung in with them for the first half, though, after going down 10-0, then storming back. Ken Walker was involved. They were running the ball well. And that was enough to keep things moving. But you get down there in the second half on the first drive. I think it was the first. Yeah, it was the first drive that they get down there and of the second half. And after the Niners score on their opening possession, and the last thing you can do, the absolute last thing you can do is take a big sack or have a turnover, let alone fucking both of them.
Right. Well, it didn't help on that previous drive where the Niners scored, where they had them in, I want to say it was a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. I don't remember the exact down and distance, but I do remember Tariq Woolen's receiver coming across the field, because that's what they were doing with Woolen all day long, is that they were running in toward the center of the field and then, taking away, obviously, the strength of Woolen to cover the sideline down there. Everything they were running inside. And then on top of that, so Purdy dumps it off. And then Cody Barton comes charging up to make the tackle, and then he takes out Tariq. And then it ends up being, I can't remember if it was Ayuk on that play, probably Ayuk, and ends up being a first down, just barely.
Yeah, maybe Barton's best tackle on the day. Friendly fire, that's cool. Tackling was a massive issue throughout this entire game. Again, just very frustrating, and it just kind of shows that the most work that needs to go in on this team is on the defensive side of the ball. And also, too, I hope Clint Hurtland's learned some lessons from this game, because you talk about them running the mid to deep end a bunch with Debo and it just being open time and time again. And it's not that Tariq is doing anything that he's not coached to do right there. So they have him playing with extreme outside leverage. funneling the end back to your freaking backup linebackers to cover in zone coverage, which they haven't done all year. I do not understand that, especially when Purdy's strengths are between the numbers. He's a lot like Jimmy.
Yeah.
They didn't play up enough. They didn't get enough pressure consistently. And I just don't think the game plan was great.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't great. Amy Holmes saying can't decide if I want Barton back even as a backup. I'm with you, Amy. We've got USMC Hawk 12 with the $4.99 super chat. Catfish the 49ers.
Yeah.
Absolutely and forever USMC Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Mathis coming in with a
Wow, Michael.
nice super chat. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
This was the developmental season. I'm numb, but not surprised. Silver lining. We beat Russell Wilson. We had a great draft. Players developed. Rookies got playoff experience. We're on to free agency / draft. Pick 5, anyone. See, Michael doesn't even want to take the time to process the loss and feel like any kind of down about it. It's like immediately on to optimism. And I like that there's so many fans that, obviously process these losses differently. Like even within watching it with my brother, with my mom. And it's like immediately my brother, after they go up 2 touchdowns, he's like, screw this team's done. It sucks. Turn the game off. I don't want to be, I just want to get out of here. And then, some of us were like, well, hey, let's see what happens. And, but yeah, there's just a lot of different ways to process a second half like that, especially when you kind of had a little bit of hope going into the second half. And there's still a lot of reason to be hopeful in the future. A lot of decisions that this team's going to be having to make now in the off season. And we've got some teams to cheer for as they face the Niners here in upcoming games.
You bet. They play that game again against a team with an actual defense, and it might not go exactly the same way. As far as the different reactions, right, that us as fans have, like, let's give everybody a little space to have those reactions. Except for freaking Braden. What do you mean? I turn off the game and gonna leave. You watch your boys to the end, even if you have to listen to the announcers coordinate the Niners and Brock Purdy's the next Tom Brady and all that nonsense. Like, you watch through the end. And so we did. We suffered through that, and that's fine. Just a tough way to go out for sure, not unexpected. And I said before the game, like, whatever happens, I'm fine with it, blah, 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 blah. By halftime, nope.
Like,
I was not
we're
okay
gonna win
with
this game. That's what I want. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I threw a lighter, and I was going to throw it right dead at the TV and aborted at the very last moment and dirted it. So thank God for that. That was right after the sack fumble. Definitely tough, but to Clinton, his point there, you guys have all been amazing this year. Thank you for all the support, man.
Yeah. And Amy saying it was sad that Walker seemed to disappear after an amazing first half. Well, after the Niners had that 8-minute drive scoring the touchdown, and then the drive where you turn the ball over, like you said, the thing that you can't do in that situation, you have to get a field goal on third down. Gino not only takes the sack, but also fumbles the ball. And then for them to come back and score another long touchdown drive, there wasn't much space for Walker to be in the game at that point. And I felt like maybe they were saving him a little bit for a second half push, because you saw Dallas getting quite a few carries there toward the end of the first half, which went nowhere. It was a little bit frustrating. So yeah, you can see areas where you can want the team to improve, particularly on offense. I'm checking to see who the guards are in the draft after this game, and Damian Lewis not knowing that he can't just walk downfield more than 2 yards on 3 different occasions.
So he did it on one occasion, and then 2 others, he was 2 yards. He was dead on the number.
Well, I think the rule is 1 yard, and I think the leeway is 1 yard, and maybe some officials will go to 2. It was weird how they were calling it. I didn't have a problem with it, but he was downfield. I don't know why they weren't calling illegal contact that was more than 15 yards down the field for pretty much all the game, but they were allowing it to be physical, I guess, at the corner spots. So that's fine too.
They were. And honestly, that worked to our advantage at times with DK out there. I mean, he played a man's game. Let's not leave him out here. He came to play. He was the bright spot on offense. And I think if they had kicked a field goal there in the second half, to Amy's point, like you were talking about, now they're not down multiple scores. Now you aren't trying to play catch up with little time. And Walker gets a lot more touches going down the stretch. And it probably keeps the game a little closer. But wasn't to be. We got our asses absolutely handed to us in the second half. It wasn't even close in the second. And so that's for every 49ers fan that commented on our last video that the last game was close because factually it was, saying that we were delusional. We're not fucking delusional. We just know what reality looks like. And in this case, the first half was close and we got blowed out in the second half. They're just reality, boys. Like, can you handle that? Or are you going to disagree with that too?
Still spotted them 10 points and able to take the lead by the end of the first half. And part of that was due to a really bad roughing the passer call right at the end of the first half for the Niners.
You think that was a bad call?
No, it was a bad penalty by them because it was stupid. Why would you do that? Just let Geno slide down, don't hit him. And even if he does go for 5 more yards, who cares? Myers isn't hitting a 65-yard field goal, but he can hit a 56-yarder.
Right. I know one of the little flockers was paying attention to Niners Reddit, and of course, they all thought that was a clean hit. Okay. How do you ever throw the flag on that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he dove right into his ribs in the middle of his slide. Of course they're going to call that.
Brandon, is there any particular shot or moment within the game that made you madder than any other, like, or in a series of shots? Because I definitely have one.
Okay, I want to hear what yours is.
Oh, mine is every time they flashed to a 49ers fan in the crowd and they were happy. That made me so mad every time. I hated it. I don't want to see their joy. Yeah, they all wallow in sports suffering forever. Ugh.
Yeah, like celebrating first downs. Screw this TV crew. They were really sticking it to us with the celebratory shots of the Niners, the music that they were playing going into halftime. It was all against Seahawks fans every time. I definitely wasn't into it. Michael O'Hara coming in with a €5.99 super chat. Second game in a row against the Niners that a fumble changed the game. Not to mention our poo-poo defense not being able to tackle anything. The thing is, Michael, yes, this is a game you had to play perfectly, and they didn't. They didn't play it perfectly on defense. They allowed the Niners to run all over them, big play after big play, and then also the turnovers. Yeah, you can't give the ball up twice and expect to win against a team that has a stout defense like they do. So, yeah, Carly saying they would not stop fawning over Purdy either. It's a great story, Carly. He's Mr. Irrelevant. Did you not hear about Brock Purdy? Have you heard that he was the last person taken in the NFL draft last year? They call that person Mr. Irrelevant, and now he's quarterbacked the Niners to 6 straight wins. I don't know if it's weird that I feel like people should be talking about that more.
There's so much to talk about when it comes to Purdy. I mean, I heard that he saved a litter of puppies the other day on his way into the facility. And that, he's been in contact with the State Department at the Biden administration to help broker a deal for the end of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. And he also is going to be the first guy to go to the moon on the SLS. Like, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, they called him. But, I mean, he's just changing the world out there.
I just can't wait. Purdy for president in whatever the next election is. I think he's probably going to give up quarterbacking the Niners because he has to solve world peace before he turns 26, right? Or else he's just not doing his job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he just doesn't care about the matter at that point. Maybe he'll put Tom Brady at the top of the ticket and he'll be VP.
There we go. All right. Well, it was a fun season. And here we go. We're going into the offseason now.
We're going into the offseason, and here's the thing. This is great. Whenever you get to this point, Seahawks fan, whichever 12 you are, when you get to the point of, you know what? Okay, it's over, but that was so much better than it was ever supposed to be. We got this top 5 pick. We got cap space. And, we had Michael comment earlier on the defense not being able to stop anybody at all. And he can recognize that all the way across the pond. I'm pretty sure John Schneider can recognize that. And so it's going to be thrilling to see what they do defensively with all of this ammo coming up here in this next draft, because offensively, they're going to be fine. They're going to be just fine. An offensive lineman, maybe two, and you're right there. And you can get guys. You really can. They're out there. And you can get them later in the draft as well. So I can't wait, man. I'm super stoked about this offseason.
Samuel Gelber with the 12-12 super chat. The Niners sucked for years and built their team to beat the Seahawks. What does John do to beat them? What resources should go into interior O-line? Go Hawks and go Bills. We've talked about this plenty. The Niners being terrible for so long allowed them to build this defensive line that became a juggernaut, and then to find the pieces around. Now, they had to do well to draft guys like in the later rounds. Well, I don't think Hufanga was quite the later round, but outside of the first round, they found guys like Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, and they to go get Ward in the offseason, a smart free agent move to make the midseason trade to get McCaffrey. So they've made other smart moves, but it really was being terrible for so long that allowed them to really build the pieces on the defensive line that you just really can't get anywhere else apart from top 10 and 15 picks in the draft.
Absolutely. And you want to know, Sam, what they need to do to beat this Niners team coming into next year? You need pass rushers, man. Get some pass rushers that put a little bit of pressure on their three mediocre quarterbacks. Whether it's Purdy, Garoppolo, or Trey Lance, I don't care which one it is. Put a little pressure on them, and they make the big mistake. Purdy was begging to do it in the first half. Gosh, it hurts my feelings so much that they didn't get it done. But it'll be interesting to hear the players after this. I think they're probably more at peace with this than we are, knowing what the journey's been like and everything. But Pete's got to be fired up. This has to be a little like when we lost to the Falcons in the NFC Championship game, and Russ was immediately talking about how excited he was for next year, what they were going to do, how this was going. Similar vibes.
Yeah, and they have lots of decisions to work their way through. This offseason, Geno Smith being that big one, right? So do they end up bringing him back? Do they decide to go in the draft? It's they have some choices to make. It was funny. I heard somebody saying in the offseason, just before the game, before the offseason, as it turns out, that the Seahawks should pick up Derek Carr. And I'm thinking, why? Why would you get Derek Carr, who the Raiders don't even want as their starting quarterback, when you have a guy who just broke so many franchise passing records already on your team and Geno Smith? Why would you downgrade to Derek Carr? That seems weird to me.
Yeah, so this will be where the Geno talk centers all offseason. And basically it's this. Is he a championship quarterback? And the answer can be yes, but he's closer to Alex Smith than he is Patrick Mahomes. And that's something you need to take into consideration when you're looking at these quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft. Do you feel as an organization when you scout these guys and I haven't looked at any of them yet, but is Stroud or whoever the top guys are, right? Are one of those guys do they give you the fizz like an Allen or a Mahomes when they were coming out? Like they gave John Schneider the fizz back then. I think if one does, you draft him. But much like the Chiefs did with Alex Smith, at least franchise Geno. If you can get him for 35 or less for a year or per year, you do it. You just do it and figure out the rest later.
Yeah, franchise tag makes a ton of sense. That's a lot to talk about for the offseason. You get, we got the draft coming up. We got the Senior Bowl coming up here pretty soon. We got Carly coming in with a super chat, $4.99. Do we regret winning those last two games and making the playoffs? My dad keeps saying that, and it annoys me. I'm glad we made it this far. there's people that are going to have some regrets. I think you wait and see what the how the draft maybe plays out. Maybe it ends up not working out in our favor. But imagine this. Imagine, Carly, if it works out after halftime. We had a 17-16 lead. If I would have told you 2 weeks ago that you win, you have a lead against the stupid 49ers at halftime in the playoffs and have a chance to knock them out of that 2 seed, knock them out of the playoffs. If you're a Seahawks fan and not taking that deal 2 weeks ago, then I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, Carly, all you need to do is pull up some Herm Edwards here. Hello, you play to win the game. Like, that's it. That is it, and that is all. No, there's no regrets, and you should never have a regret for winning more games and going to the playoffs over draft position. You just shouldn't. And I learned that lesson. Shoot, what was that? Might have been 10. Or 10 or 11. I think it was 10. We had to beat the Rams, and if we get a lesser draft pick, and you were like, I want to win. And I was like, screw that. I want the draft pick. I think we won, and it was even
we
better.
got the Beastquake. Yeah. So it's because winning is better than losing. I've tried to tell everybody this and drill it into your heads over the years. Winning is better than losing. And
so Carly, just tell your dad he's just wrong. I know it's hard to be wrong, but he should live with that and figure out how to be more right.
Well, thanks to everybody for joining us after the game. I've got some evening plans. We're gonna go out and do something fun.
Are you now?
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. It's my mom's birthday.
Oh, well, give Glenda my best. That's for sure.
I will do that.
Yeah, and I give all you little flockers my best, man. This has been an amazing season. We tried to go all in and bring you guys a lot more content. Didn't know what that was going to bring. You know what it brought? It brought the best out of you guys. You guys have been amazing, so supportive. I just can't thank you guys enough. It's made my journey this year a lot more optimistic, and I can't thank you enough. And I know Brandon feels the exact same way about it. I know Phil, Clinton, Wilson, everybody. We all feel just so much gratitude for you guys. You're just amazing.
Yes, Amy, you're amazing too. $9.99 super chat. Go Hawks. It has been an amazing season. I echo everything that Adam just said because yes, it's been a blast. I hope that it would have turned out a little bit better. I wanted that third shot at the Niners just to see if we could go ahead and knock them out of the playoffs. It ended up not working out, but man, that it felt like it was within reach at halftime.
All right, man. I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go everybody fucking else except for the Niners.
Yeah, except for you. Screw you guys. And go Hawks.
And go Hawks.